Thanksgiving. A time for family, a time for gratitude, a time for feasting. But beneath the surface of this cherished holiday lies a dark and often untold history. A history of bloodshed, betrayal, and the systematic erasure of an entire people. We gather around our tables sharing stories of Pilgrims and Native Americans coming together in peace. Yet the reality is far more sinister. The truth, buried under layers of myth and manufactured nostalgia, paints a chilling picture. This is the story we're afraid to tell. The story Thanksgiving doesn't want you to know. This is the story of a feast built on shadows. Imagine a time before Thanksgiving, before the Pilgrims landed on Plymouth Rock. A time when the land was untouched by European hands and the air was filled with the sounds of nature and the songs of the original inhabitants. Native Americans, the original inhabitants of this land, thrived in a delicate balance with nature. They lived off the land, respecting its bounty and nurturing its resources. Their lives were intertwined with the seasons, the cycles of the moon, and the rhythms of the earth. Their cultures were deeply rooted in the earth, their traditions woven into the fabric of their existence. Every ceremony, every artifact, every piece of their heritage told a story of their connection to the land and to each other. Then the ships arrived. Strangers from a distant land, seeking refuge and opportunity. They came with hopes of a new beginning, dreams of prosperity, and the promise of a better life. The arrival of the Pilgrims marked the beginning of the end for the Native Americans. The newcomers brought with them not just their hopes and dreams, but also their diseases, their weapons, and their foreign ways. It was the start of a tragic clash of cultures, a collision that would forever alter the course of history. The Native Americans, with their deep connection to the land, found themselves facing an unprecedented challenge. They came bearing promises of peace and partnership. Initial encounters were marked by curiosity and cautious optimism. Gifts were exchanged and tentative alliances were formed, but their arrival sowed the seeds of deceit and destruction, forever staining the soil with the blood of the innocent. The promises of peace were soon overshadowed by the harsh realities of survival, greed, and the relentless push for expansion. The peace between the Pilgrims and the Native Americans was short-lived. Initially, there was a sense of cautious optimism, a fragile hope that two vastly different cultures could coexist and thrive together. As the colonists' hunger for land grew, so did their disregard for the treaties they had made. The agreements, once seen as a bridge between two worlds, were now viewed as obstacles to expansion and prosperity. The relationship, built on a foundation of mistrust and misunderstanding, began to crumble. Promises were broken, and the initial goodwill was replaced by suspicion and resentment. Conflicts erupted, fueled by greed and cultural clashes. The colonists, driven by a relentless desire for more land and resources, clashed violently with the Native Americans, who were determined to protect their ancestral territories. Native Americans, defending their ancestral lands and way of life, faced the brutal force of European weaponry and aggression. The battles were fierce and unforgiving, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Villages were razed, families torn apart, sacred grounds desecrated. The destruction was not just physical, but also cultural, as the very fabric of Native American society was ripped apart. The land ran red with the blood of those who fought to protect their home. The cost of these conflicts was immense, leaving scars that would last for generations. The true cost of Thanksgiving, paid in the currency of suffering and loss, was buried beneath the narrative of a shared harvest feast. The story of unity and cooperation masked the harsh reality of broken promises and bloody conflicts, a legacy that continues to echo through history. The tragedy of Thanksgiving extends far beyond the battlefield. The arrival of the Europeans unleashed a silent killer, more devastating than any weapon disease. Smallpox, measles, and other illnesses ravaged the Native American population, decimating entire tribes and communities. The survivors faced forced assimilation, stripped of their languages, beliefs, and identities. Their children were taken, indoctrinated into a foreign culture. their heritage erased with each passing generation. This was not a peaceful integration, but a systematic dismantling of a people. The legacy of Thanksgiving is not one of unity, but of a cultural genocide, a slow and silent erasure of a proud and ancient heritage. Section 5, the Thanksgiving we choose to forget. Centuries later, we sit down to our Thanksgiving feast, seemingly oblivious to the darkness that stains the holiday. We gather around tables laden with food, surrounded by family and friends, giving thanks for the blessings we have received. Yet beneath the surface of our celebrations lies a history that is often ignored or forgotten. We celebrate with parades and football games, our children reenacting sanitized versions of the first Thanksgiving in school plays. These portrayals often gloss over the complex and painful history of the holiday, presenting a simplified and harmonious narrative that does not reflect the true experiences of the indigenous peoples. But the truth lingers, a ghost at the feast, a whisper in the wind. The stories of the past are not so easily erased, and the echoes of history can still be heard if we choose to listen. The land on which we build our homes, the very foundations of our nation, are built upon the graves of those who were here before. The land on which we build our homes, the very foundations of our nation, are built upon the graves of those who were here before. The indigenous peoples who lived on this land for thousands of years faced displacement, violence, and death as a result of colonization. Their cultures, traditions, and lives were forever altered by the arrival of European settlers. It's time to confront the uncomfortable truth behind the Thanksgiving myth. We must recognize the suffering and loss that accompanied the founding of our nation. By acknowledging this history, we can begin to understand the full story of Thanksgiving and honor the memory of those who were affected. It's time to acknowledge the suffering, the injustice, the genocide that casts a long shadow over this holiday. Only by facing these truths can we hope to create a more inclusive and honest narrative, one that respects the experiences of all people and fosters a deeper understanding of our shared history. Section 6, Reclaiming the Narrative, a Time for Truth. We cannot change the past, but we can choose how we remember it. It's time to reclaim the narrative of Thanksgiving, to move beyond the simplistic tales of pilgrims and turkeys. We must acknowledge the pain, the loss, and the resilience of the Native American people. Let us listen to their stories, the stories of survival and resistance passed down through generations. Let us honor their ancestors, those who endured unimaginable hardship, by speaking their names and remembering their sacrifices. This is not about guilt or blame, but about understanding, empathy, and a commitment to truth. Section 7, Beyond the Turkey and the Tales, a Deeper Understanding. Thanksgiving can still be a time for gratitude, but let it also be a time for reflection. Let us use this holiday as an opportunity to learn about the true history of our nation, to engage in open and honest conversations about the legacy of colonization. Educate yourself and your children. Read books and articles written by Native American authors and historians. Support organizations working to preserve Native American culture and heritage. By confronting the darkness, we can begin to shed light on a path towards healing and reconciliation. Section 8, Honoring the Past, Shaping the Future. Thanksgiving should not be a celebration of conquest, but a reminder of our shared humanity. It's a time to reflect on the values of peace, understanding, and respect for all cultures. Let us move forward with empathy and a commitment to justice. Let us honor the past not by ignoring its complexities, but by learning from its mistakes. By acknowledging the truth of Thanksgiving, we can begin to create a future where all people are treated with dignity, respect, and understanding. Section 9, a call for reflection and reconciliation. As you gather with loved ones this Thanksgiving, remember the true cost of this holiday. Remember the stories that have been silenced, the voices that have been ignored. Let us use this time to reflect on our own role in perpetuating harmful narratives. Let us commit to being better allies, to amplifying the voices of the marginalized, and to working towards a more just and equitable future for all. This Thanksgiving, let us break bread with open hearts and open minds, embracing the truth of our shared history and working together towards a future where all can truly give thanks.